Hi there, welcome to episode 4 of Namaste Yoga. I'm joined today by my friends Christine and Carrie. So we're going to start with you lying down on your backs, resting back. Okay, so let's start by focusing in on our body and notice how your body feels today. And I know for myself, when I start to tune into my body, I'll begin to notice all the things that are wrong with it. So feeling all the points of tension, feeling tightness, feeling holding. And when you begin and you start to notice all the things that are, quote, wrong with it, then there tends to be a lack of acceptance that goes with that. So let's see, as you rest back today and bring your awareness to the body, if you can bring a level of acceptance to what's happening in your body right now. To appreciate your body as it is, perfectly imperfect. And now bring your awareness to your breathing. And again, another thing that I notice when I bring my awareness to the breathing is that I begin to become the doer of the breath rather than the observer of the breath. And see if you can stay with observing the breath without trying to change it in any way, but just being with it as it is, perfectly imperfect. And now begin to tune into your thoughts, noticing what's on your mind today. Again, I think we tend to label some thoughts as better than others, judge ourselves for having certain thoughts, wanting our mind to be different than it is. See what it would be like today to accept the thoughts that are going through your mind, whatever they are, as perfectly imperfect. And then tune into your emotions today. Really sink in and notice how you feel. So underneath the body, underneath the breath, underneath the thinking mind, how do you really feel today? And again, I think we tend to gravitate towards certain feelings or emotions as more positive, and certain ones as more negative, and we try to gravitate towards the positive ones. And we try to move away from the negative ones. See what it would be like today to stay with whatever is happening for you. So as we move into our practice today, we're going to work with the idea of acceptance. And seeing if we can be really present to what's happening and accept things as they are. And the really cool thing about that is that when you struggle with accepting, then you can just simply accept the struggle. So even when you come up against things that you can accept that you struggle with certain things. And if your mind begins to drift, you can bring some compassion and acceptance to the mind drifting. So let's set our intention for our practice today to work with this idea of acceptance. And as we begin to practice today, notice what's easy to accept and what's more challenging for you to accept. And then when you're ready, you can begin to start to gently stretch. And we're going to stay lying on our backs to begin. All right, so on your backs, let's start by drawing your right knee into your chest. And we're going to start by opening up the hips a little bit. And believe you me, you're going to appreciate that we do this later. So you're going to inhale and open the right leg out to the side while holding onto it with the right hand. And then you can exhale, cross the leg over, transfer the leg to your left hand and cross it over. Oh, did you guys hear that? That was an amazing adjustment. So inhale and open, and exhale and cross. Just warming up the hips and the low back. And you can play with this too. You can do this version like I just did, where you roll the pelvis completely off the ground. Or you can play with keeping the pelvis rooted on the ground and crossing the leg over. Very different stretch. So see what it is that you need today. Maybe you needed a big spinal adjustment like I did, then go for the big pelvis twist. And if you need less, then, if you need more of a stretch in the external rotators of the hips and the glute medius, then keep the pelvis planted. Great. Okay, so let's bring that leg back center and we'll lower it down and slide it out. And I want you, before we go on to the other side, to just notice the difference between the right leg and the left leg, and the right side of the pelvis and the left side of the pelvis. And then so you don't go away walking like with a peg leg, we'll draw the other leg in. So left leg comes in and it's the same thing. We'll inhale, open the leg out to the side, and exhale and cross it over. And notice how it feels different from side to side. So let's move slowly with breath, breathing in as you open and breathing in as you cross. And then let's check in. Notice what is easy for you to accept and notice what you struggle with accepting. So when I got that really nice spinal release on the other side, that was easy to accept. That felt really good. But here on this side, it feels a lot tighter. And so that feels not as easy to accept. I'm uncomfortable with that. I want it to move more. I want it to do more. I don't want it to feel so stuck. So I'm just noticing that I'm struggling to accept the lack of movement on the left side. Okay, great. And then let's bring that leg back center and slide it out on the ground and feel the evenness of the legs now. And then if you have a strap, that could be very helpful. You can use a strap, a yoga strap, or you can use a necktie, or you can use the strap from your bathrobe. Let's slide that right leg in again, and you're gonna hook up that right foot and lengthen up through the back of the right leg. Okay. Fabulous. This looks so good. So a couple of things when you're working with this Supta Gustasana. This is really great how Christine has the back of her knee so nice and open and her toes drawn towards her face. And then we can work on really rooting that supported leg. So this looks great. Carrie looks great too. Really opening up through the back of the leg, sinking down through the back of the pelvis. And then watch too how much you're gripping with your hands. So I always say if you have white knuckles, you're holding on too tight. So release the death grip. And also let the shoulders be heavy here too. Okay, so from here we're going to also open that right hip out to the side as well. So as you open the right hip to the side, as much as you can, anchoring that left hip. So we're getting a great stretch through the hip and through the inner thigh here. And then we'll draw that leg back center. You can bend it, unhook that strap. Let's release that and feel the difference between the two legs. And then when you're ready, let's hook up the left foot. Drawing that left leg in, rooting down through the right leg, really opening up the space in the backs of the legs. Shoulders heavy, elbows heavy. Okay, so let's take that left leg, keeping the right leg heavy, heavy, heavy on the ground, and opening that left leg out to the side. Great, okay, so let's bring that leg back center and we'll release it down. Just take a moment now to check in and notice how that feels different now than it did at the beginning. How the lower body feels different. And then we're going to bend our knees, roll to our sides, and come up onto all fours. Great, good. I'll go this way too. Okay, so from all fours, this is really good. We're well set up for the next one. We're going to do a pose called Dying Warrior to stretch out the outside of the hip. So we stretch the front and the back, the inside, now we're gonna stretch the outside. So maybe just a little bit of cat pose to warm up the spine first. Exhale and round, and inhale, extend. Great, and then what we're going to do is we're going to, everybody walk your knees to your right. Okay, and we'll lower our left hips down onto the mat, And from here, you're going to lie your chest down on the mat. Your head can be turned to the right, looking at the right fingertips. And it can be really nice to put a little blanket under here because the floor can be kind of hard, especially for women. So let's extend the legs straight out to the side from here. And then we'll take the top right leg straight down. And your job here is to be dropping that right hip bone, that right iliac crest towards the left inner thigh. So let's see how Carrie and Christine are doing. Good. Great. Do you want a blanket? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so if you want to use the blanket, if you can just lift up a bit here, Carrie, and just stick it right underneath your chest here. Okay, just like that. Great. And yeah, extend that arm out to the side, and then we'll drop that right hip to the ground. Okay, and then if you wanted even more than this and you've never had a neck injury, then you could also turn your head to the left if you wanted. But this is a lot already, so this is probably good. How's that feel? You feel that on the outside hip? Are you still running? Yeah, it's a good one for runners. Okay, so how about we try this on the other side too? So start to gather all your pieces up, come onto all fours, and how about just so we all have enough space, we all turn our heads the other way. So coming on all fours. Great, and then we'll walk the knees to the left and lower the hip to the right onto the mat, and you start by lying on your stomach. And from here you can extend those legs straight out. And then the top left leg, my pant leg keeps getting stuck here, go straight down. Dropping the left hip towards the right hip bone. Great. Good, you have enough room. Excellent. That looks great. People generally have kind of mixed feelings about this one. Now, the other thing too is that you may be able to hold on to the left foot with the left hand. Does that make sense? Yeah. But you might not, that's okay too. Because we're practicing acceptance with what is. Great. Okay, so let's bring those legs in, and then we're gonna come on back. All right, are you ready for some lunging? Okay, this one in Canada, we're all from Canada, so we love to affectionately call this one the Goalie Series. So we're going to walk the right leg through, since we're so into hockey here. Although I can't tell you the last time I watched a hockey game. You probably have to watch hockey because of your son, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's start with a really head-on lunge where the hips are really squared to the front for the beginning. Yeah, nice, good. This never gets old. It never feels easy, no. Just taking some nice slow deep breaths and feeling the hip flexor muscles really lengthening out here. Great. Okay, now our next thing is you're going to hold on to that right leg with your right arm just for stability so it doesn't roll out. And then you're going to turn towards it and drop the left hip towards the ground. That's it. And as you do that, you want to stay connecting to the ground through the inside of the right foot. Can you feel that, girls? The best is yet to come. Yeah, there's more after this. These ones always get me, you know? There's such a charge with them always. They're so intense. Okay, gladly come back center and get ready for the next thing. So you're going to take both hands to the inside of the right foot. And then you're going to walk your hands over to your left knee. You might want to watch this and rewind it and try it again if you're doing this at home, because it's kind of confusing the first few times. You're going to lift the left knee so you come onto the inside of the left knee. Very nice. And now we're going to say hello to our groin muscles, because we're going to squat towards that right heel. If you're not really grimacing, you're probably not there. It's such an un-yogi thing to say. Oh, remembering to breathe. Okay. That's enough of that one. Let's come back and do the other side. So we'll walk the left leg through. Straight on lunge now. Straight on lunge never felt so good after that. A straight hip flexor stretch. Nice. Great, and then we're going to wrap that left arm around the left leg for stability again, and you're going to drop the right hip towards the ground and connecting through the inside edge of that left foot here. So if you have any knee issues, you could always put a blanket underneath the knees, double up your mat there. Okay, and then we got that groin one. So both hands come to the inside of the left foot. You walk your hands over to the right knee, pick up the right knee, come onto the inside of it, and then we squat towards the left heel. Yeah. So if that's really easy for you, Christine, you can start to straighten out that back leg, so that it's more like maybe like a half side splits or something. That's good, yeah. Okay, how about a down dog? That's gonna feel like sweet surrender now. Okay. So let's take the hands underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips, tucking the toes under, big breath in. Breathe out, pike those hips into downward facing dog. Wow, how great does that feel? Look how those heels are like right on the ground, or really close to the ground after all that hip opening. Okay, so we're not done with those hips yet. We're gonna do pigeon pose now. So let's take the right leg back and up. Just give it a little shake, and the shake is actually to find space in the hip joint. So maybe it's like you're rattling the femur bone, the top of the leg bone, trying to find space in that joint, and then we'll bring the right leg through, keeping the left leg reaching back and long. And we'll do the folding forward version. Great. Okay, so in this pose, we want to be really mindful of squaring off the hips. So yeah, that top left hip bone is going to be over the right over the right heel. Great. And then let's just take this leg around a bit too. Great. Is that comfortable? Good. Okay, great. And you can modify this more too. Carrie and Christine look great, but this isn't always great for everybody's knees. So I'll show you. You can actually do this pose with the heel right underneath you even. And then you could also do it lying on your back in a figure 4 stretch as well. Okay. Great. So from here, let's come back into downward facing dog. And taking that left leg up, finding space in the hip joint, and then bringing the left leg through, reaching the right leg back and long, folding forward over that leg. Great, and we're really going to square off those hips here. Great. And you could too, Christine, even use this block here underneath your forehead and take your arms forward maybe. Is that high enough, or turn it up one more? Yeah, yeah, nice. This looks great. Okay, so from here, let's step back into down dog, doing a nice symmetrical pose after that asymmetrical pose. And then we'll come on to all fours. So from all fours, we're going to practice the balancing half moon pose today, Ardha Chandrasana. And so I find that my students really like it if we can practice it closer to the ground before we practice it standing up. So what we're going to do is from all fours, you can take your left leg back to the back of the mat. And then let's start to open up that left hip, drop the right hip bone. And you can bring the left arm up. Okay. And then when you're ready, you can start to lift that left leg. So I've chosen a lot of balancing postures today because to me, they're perfect for accepting, because I think there's a lot of there can be a lot of resistance in this pose because we don't want to fall. But there's this great book by Sherry Huber, who's a Buddhist monk, and the title of the book is "If You're Falling, Dive." So if you're falling, fall, instead of trying to scrape your way back up. How's that feeling, girls? I'm sure glad I take Christine's Pilates class, so I have good core strength here. Okay. And then come on down. Fall down. Dive. Okay, then let's take the right leg to the back of the mat. And you can start to drop the left hip, open the right hip. Good, right leg comes up. When you're ready, the right arm can come up. And notice how the two sides are totally different. So what might be true on one side might not be true on the other. Great, good. And also notice how, you can come on out, also notice how there's a lot of movement in balancing poses, that balance is never something like that you arrive at. There's always a lot of movement around it. All right, let's come into downward facing dog. We're going to make our way up to standing now. So coming into down dog, let's take a few breaths in downward facing dog. And then when you're ready, you can walk your feet into your hands, and we'll roll all the way up to standing. Great. Okay, so we're going to do eagle's arms here. So let's take the right arm up, which will be our left. So we'll put the right arm up, and then we'll hook the left arm underneath and bring the palms together here. Okay, so you can make this easier on yourself if you bring the elbows in tighter to the body and lower down. And alternatively, if you want more of a stretch, then you can reach the elbows away and lift them up a little bit. So for example, after I did Christine's Pilates class on Tuesday, I was trying to teach this to my students this week. And it was like, oh my gosh, I could not bring them tight enough to the body. And in a few weeks, we're going to do lots of really cool variations with this eagle's arms. Great, and then you're going to release that and just feel the difference between the two shoulders now. So probably for those people watching us at home, you can actually physically see it on our bodies. So it's the same for you if you check that out in the mirror. Okay, now we're gonna bring your left up, and you're gonna hook the right arm underneath, and palms come together on the other side. And again, you choose where you want it. If you want it in nice and tight, if you want it a little further away, you're in charge. Now, not everybody's arms will be able to do this either. So if that's the case, then we can do an arm straight across and just hooking the arm underneath. That would be totally fine too. So it's about accepting where you are. So if there's a lot of struggle and this isn't happening, then this is great. Okay, and then release, and you're gonna roll the shoulders back and down. Okay, so today we're gonna work with some of what I feel are more challenging balancing postures, at least they are for me. We're going to do the full version of eagle with the arms and the legs. So let's get the legs set up. You're gonna stand on the right leg, our left, and you're going to bend that knee slightly. And we're gonna take the left leg and cross it over, and you guys can just keep the, so lots of options here. Toes can stay on the ground, 1. 2, option number 2 is the foot can come up here, but not hook. And this is a good option for a lot of men who don't have as much flexibility in the hips, or if your hips aren't as flexible, this is a great option. Or the sort of full version of the pose, you hook the foot. Okay, now you need to find your focus point, something to look at that's not moving, and then you're going to bring the right arm up and hook the left arm underneath. Okay, so if you're falling, fall. And be okay with that. And that's one thing to do at home on your yoga mat and another thing to do on a video. Great, okay, and then let's release. I'm thinking we're gonna hold the poses as long as you make us do ab exercises and Pilates. Okay, ready for the other side? How was that? That was good. Good. Okay, so let's bend the left knee. And you're going to cross that right leg over. So again, toes can be on the ground. The toes can be up, so you're balancing just on the outside of that left leg. Or if the flexibility permits, you can hook the foot all around. So this is interesting. For me on this side, that's not happening today. So that's okay. And then I'll bring the left arm up and I'll hook the right arm underneath. Focusing on something that's not moving. So Mula Bandha, that's the root lock where you lift up the pelvic floor, is helpful here for stability. Okay, really good. Great. Okay, shake out those legs. Okay, maybe a nice... Christine just said she's going to offer shorter ab classes. Okay. Maybe a nice standing forward fold would be good to regroup before we go on to the next balancing posture. So let's just take the legs nice and wide on the mat. Big breath in and breathe out. Let's fold forward. Oh, yes, good job. So let the back of the neck be long. Let the crown of the head drop towards the ground. Okay, and then nice and slowly up. Okay. So now we're going to work with Ardha Chandrasana, the balancing half moon posture. And I think what I'll do is I'll demonstrate it and then we'll do it. And actually, Carrie, you're going to get to do it with a wall. So I'm going to show you how you can do it with the wall, taking balancing out of the equation altogether. Okay, so here's how it works. We're going to, this is like one of my favorite poses. So we're going to come into a standing forward fold. You can use a block here if you want, so that's one option. From here you can bend your knees, get your hands connected to the ground a little bit more if you need to. And then we'll take the left leg back and up. Okay, straightening out the right leg. You're going to drop the right hip and open the left hip. And from there, keep gazing on the ground. You can start to bring the arm up. But notice how slow all of that was. Okay? Alright, so you can try that. If you use the wall, there's this great little piece here. Maybe I'll show how to use the wall too. So you kind of, it's great if you use the wall to start in like a standing triangle pose against the wall. And then you bend the front knee. You can use this block here, which isn't that stable, just so you know, Carrie. And then you can open up onto the wall, taking balance out of the equation altogether. Nice version of the pose. Okay, so choose your options. You start, if Carrie's going to start with triangle against the wall. Christine's going to start with a standing forward fold. Yeah, so just folding forward here. Yeah, and you can use the block if you want. Take the back left leg up. Yep, and lift it up. Good, dropping. I'll stand behind you. Good, dropping the right hip. Good, opening up the left. And you could have kept that hand on the ground like a lot longer for more. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. She got a spinal release here and then a hip release here. Did I feel? Oh, another one. It was like a bowl of Rice Krispies over here. Okay, do you feel pretty stable? There you go. Great, and see this nice version with the wall? So great. And then you can really focus on opening that hip up to the wall. Nice, and such nice symmetry here too against the wall. Aren't you glad you got the wall? The breathing and you guys look so good in these. Great. What do you think about the other side? Sound good? Okay, so slowly bring yourselves down. Great. So you come into standing forward fold. So let's try this, Christine, again. So with the standing forward fold was good. I'm going to talk you through it a little bit more so people can follow you at home a little bit more. Great. So standing forward fold, keeping both hands on the ground, taking that back right leg up. Good. Then keeping both hands on the ground, rotating the hips. Yeah. And when you're ready, opening the arm, but keeping the eyes gazing on the ground. Very nice. Nice, Carrie. Yeah. Great. And if you're feeling super confident, you can start to turn the head up too. But once you start moving the head, you get the inner ear involved. Look at that. Nicely done. And breathe. Really great. Hey, this side's kind of different for you, huh? Like different, good. Really nice. This looks great. I think this is one of the most elegant postures in yoga. Great. Okay, good. Slowly roll down. Excellent. It's like, maybe I'm going to tuck after that, right? That's good. Okay, so from here we're going to come down onto our mats and we're going to sit down. We'll do a nice seated twist and a seated forward fold to finish up today. All right. Let's start with the legs out long in front of us. Good. Okay, great. See here, you can notice in Carrie's pelvis, and this is probably because she's a runner, because her hamstrings are tight, it starts to pull her pelvis under. So this is like super, super common. So one way to get around this really nicely to create a lot more freedom in the hips is to sit up on a blanket. Nice. Okay, excellent. And then now can you see how this is so much straighter here? And is it easier to sit now too? Yeah, so it's much easier to sit. Great. All right, so from here, let's slide the right leg in. Actually, can we just switch that to the left for now, for a second, so I can show something? Thank you. Okay, left heel in, and one thing that I notice a lot of times is my students like to yank that foot like right into their inner thigh and like right into their groin. But look what happens to the knee then. This is not nice alignment from the ankle to the knee to the hip. So what I really like to do is take the heel out so it's in line with the sit bone, just like you guys are doing. And you can even experiment with taking it further away from the buttocks. It doesn't have to be right in, pressing on your bladder. Wrapping the right arm around the left leg. Let's lengthen up and turn towards that leg. Great. Fabulous. Very good. Marichyasana. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. Okay, and then come on back center. We'll slide that left leg out, nice and long. Can you feel the difference between the two legs right now even? Cool. Okay, slide the right leg in. Spine lengthens up nice and tall, sitting into those sit bones, wrapping the left arm around the right leg in, turn toward it. Very nice. Okay, and then come on back, center. Let's take both legs out long. Okay, so we're going to do Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. And this one of the things I said to myself at the beginning of this year was that I was going to practice poses that I'm not good at too. So this is one of those poses. And this is about acceptance, right? So accepting where you are, and that's definitely what I have to do in this pose. Here's some tricks. Being elevated really helps. Like it may even be that you want to be up on one of these blocks. Okay, we can lift and pull the flesh out of the way at the back. So if you can get a lot of movement through rolling the pelvis forward, that helps a lot too. Let's lengthen the spine up nice and long. We'll inhale here. Exhale, we're moving the belly towards the top of the thighs. So this is likely to be what this pose looks like for most people. If you fold forward nice and easily like Christine does, then you can rest forward as much as, you can rest your head forward. This eventually the forehead rests on the shins in this pose. Okay, if you're like most people, hands by the side of the body is nice. If you do reach your feet, you do want to hold on to the outside edge of the feet, and if you draw the outside edges of the feet back, notice what that does to the femur bones at the top, creating more space. Yeah, very nice. But if you don't reach them, let's just hold them here. A couple of options. If the low back is really compressing and shortening, and you can get some length by using your strap, then use your strap. For a long time, I practiced my forward folds with my hands behind me, which is another really nice option too. It really lengthens the spine, helps me tilt the pelvis forward. So as much as you can, nice long spine. So not worrying about where we are, where we're going. Great, and then slowly up. Good, and I'll have you guys rest back for Savasana now, lying down on your backs. Okay, so as you're resting back in Savasana, see what you noticed about yourself during your practice today. What could you accept? And what was difficult for you to accept? And perhaps there's some connection between the way you work with acceptance on the yoga mat and acceptance in everyday life. So notice the connections. What do you accept in your life? What do you struggle with accepting, bringing acceptance to? Because ultimately we want to take our practice off our mat and into our lives. Once you notice some connection between what happens in the yoga mat with acceptance or struggling with acceptance, then consider how you can take what you learned about yourself into your life and integrate it into your life this week. And I'm even going to give you a little piece of homework this week, which is to practice offering yourself acceptance throughout your week. If you can rest back here for even 5 or 10 more minutes, that would be amazing. And if you are ready to move on with your day and out into your day, then let's begin to wiggle our fingers and our toes and stretch. And to come up to seated, we'll bend your knees. Roll to your right side, taking a couple of breaths on your right side. And then slowly coming up to sitting. So for the end, we'll join our hands in prayer position. And I will finish by offering you the loving kindness prayer. May you be free from inner and outer harm. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be healthy and strong. May you look after yourselves joyfully. And now we'll all greet each other with Namaste. Namaste. Thank you for joining us for the 4th episode of Namaste Yoga. And thank you again to Christine and Carrie for joining us. They were both fabulous. Join us next week for the 5th episode of Namaste Yoga.